Good morning. Good morning to my friends. Today we are going to share about the reproduction in human. This is year 8. So I hope that you can enjoy this class because this is related directly to our life right now for the moment. Okay, because this reproduction in human, there has something to be changed in the early of the teens. Okay, adolescence. Okay. So today we are going to learn about this part, okay, which is the whole thing about the reproductive system, the organs, the menstrual cycle, and then about sperms, fertilization, development of the baby and placenta, embryo and fetus, okay, and the birth, how do you come to the world, and then about the twins and from early life. Okay, it's so interesting. Okay, I'll try to do some introduction. I hope that after this introduction, you can have the initiative to go to read further. You can always get some other books. For example, you may buy a book from IGCSE year 10, or look for some articles on internet or YouTube, okay, so that to help you to learn better. This is Mr. Henry Clement. Thank you for being with us for these few weeks. Okay, thank you very much. So this is the baby. Okay, a baby will become a children, and then they will become the teenagers, and later become an adult. Okay, so today we are going to learn that. Okay, female and male, they reproduce together to give birth to a baby, and then the baby will grow up again. Okay, so how the changes begin. Okay? The body of the newborn baby and female and male baby are very similar. So the sex organ only can declare after they have the genitalia, okay, which is the external part of the reproductive organ. Okay, this is so-called the primary sexual characteristic. Okay, so for the 10 years, they look the same, except for the genitalia, which is the primary sexual characteristic. Okay, behind the nose and the beneath there's or the brain, there's an organ called pituitary gland. This gland is very important, because this is what the serval gland. Gland is a part that secrete the hormone, okay? And then this hormone will go into the blood and follow the blood circulation system to go down the whole body, okay? This is the chemical, okay? And he will have, this hormone has effect on specific part of the body, They will go around the body at the age of 10 to 13 for the girls, and 12 and 14 in the boys. This particularly secret the two hormone. One hormone is called growth hormone, and the other one is called gonadotropin. Okay, these two will help us to develop our secondary sexual characteristic. Okay, so growth hormone travel around the body and stimulate the growth and hand and feet. When this hormone go around and reach your hand and feet, okay, and then go to your hip and chest, and then goes to your trunk, followed by the leg. Everything, it will increase in size and length. See, you'll become taller at this age. This change in body size can make people feel very uncomfortable, because suddenly, within one or 2 years or 3 years, you are becoming taller, okay, which is not used to your own body. Growth hormone, okay. Whereas on the other hand, the sex hormone, which is gonadotropin, okay, produce some sex hormone. In female, okay, stimulate okay. When female, the hormone will be produced in the ovary. We have two types, which is called estrogen and progesterone. Okay, this one will be in large amount. Okay, in male, we have the testes or testicle. They produce a testosterone. The sex hormone cause the reproductive organs to develop fully, you know, okay, and cause the development of the body features known as secondary sexual characteristic. The sex hormone work with the growth hormones. In female, they cause the hip to grow wider than the shoulder and to level the fat around them to give a smoother shape. In male, testosterone causes the shoulder to grow wider and heavier than the hips. Okay, this is the thing. Okay, here you have the chart so that you can, from this book, so that you can memorize. Okay, so for male, there will be some growth of hair on the face, the armpits, and the pubic regions. Growth of the hair in the armpit and the pubic region. Okay, but not in the face. Okay, voice become deeper. So whereas for the girls, the breast level up. Okay, and then growth of the penis and testicle become fully growth, and here for the female will be growth of the vagina and uterus. Again, the pelvis also widens. Okay? So this is a secondary sexual characteristic, as I told you just now, and it takes about 3 years for girls, but longer, no, longer for the boys. The boys maybe maybe up to 16 to 17 years old. Okay, there are a great relation in the time of which the change begin and also the nature or size of change. Okay, this relation may make people unnecessarily anxious. Okay, because suddenly you are changing a lot. Okay, cause them to worry if they are not in the correct direction. Okay, you think that, am I right now? Okay. So in this period, we call it the puberty period, which is the first half of the adolescence, so it's a teenager time. So you'll be the learning to become an adult, okay? So at that time, okay, the greater physical and emotional change of a person like take place here, okay? So at the end of this stage, you'll become an adult already, okay? So there's a wider change of social skill to allow you to live independently, okay? So during the adolescence, okay, you need to cope with some physical and emotional change, okay? So for the physical change, girls have to learn to cope with the periods, which we'll be learning in coming page. And whereas boys have wet dream, which is they release semen when they are asleep. A person's main emotional change is wanting to become more independent. Yes, you want to become more independent. You want to have more control over your life. And other member of the family will adjust to see the change and the allowances. Is allowed to more freedom of choice in clothes. They can choose what they want to wear, use the free time, and many schools also provide a wide range of sports, clubs, and activities to help the adolescents to develop emotionally and socially. It is natural for human people in the adolescence to be anxious something and to worry whether they are going through a proper physical change. Yeah, they are thinking, is it true? How come I can become a child now become an adult? Okay, so also try to do some independent too quickly. This may lead the argument with parents and other adults. Okay, as well as seeking independence from the family, they are also anxious not to lose their friends and feel they under pressure to follow the way the friend behave. They want to follow their friend. Even though they will prefer to do other things, but they still follow the friends. You see, the sex hormone is an influence tool to make people interested about opposite sex. Okay, before that, boys will only play with boy, girls will only play with girl. But at this stage, okay, they are starting to have interested in the opposite sex. The degree to which the sex hormone do is this varies as much as physical change they made. Okay, all the change take place over a few short years can make that you all feel very confused. No? This is natural. Some people find that talking to others helps them cope, while others feel that embarrassed to talk about how they feel. Yes, some they are feeling embarrassed. Now we are talking about some organs. Okay, for the male, you have the testicles. Okay, develop inside the body. of the unborn child and usually move down to the outside of the body before the baby is born. Yeah, this is the testis. The testicles are held in the bag of muscle and skin called scrotum. Okay. They are positioned outside the body because the conditions are colder. Because this one, they need to be colder. You see, the sperm is inside and are more favorable to sperm production. Yes, if this is too hot, okay, for example, you are wearing very thick trousers, not such a gym, okay, so the temperature will become higher. Okay, then this is not good for the sperm production. Each testicle is more contain a long microscopic pipe called seminiferous turis. Okay, the male's gamete or sex cells are made inside this tube. They are sperm cell. On the top of side of the each testicles is an epididymis. This is long coil here. Okay, here which is the sperm cell collect. Okay, the sperm cell travel to the outside of the body along the sperm duct and the urethra. There are glands along the path to the outside that add liquid to the sperm cell. Okay, so the semen here, okay, is a lot of liquid. Okay, the mixture of liquid is known as a seminal fluid, which is a semen. Okay, so this fluid is a lot of the liquid, not only the cell. The urethra runs through in the middle of the penis. This is also connected to the bladder and also the tube through which the urine flow. Semen and urine do not flow down the urethra at the same time. So there's a bath there. Okay, the penis contains spongy tissue along its length that can fill with blood to make it hard, stiff, and erect. Okay, the tips of the penis, called the grand penis, has a large amount of the receptor and is very sensitive. The gland is covered with a fold of skin called foreskin. If circumcision has taken place, the foreskin will have been removed. This is due to the mostly due to some of the division, right? Okay. Now we need to learn about some female part, okay, female organs. Okay. The ovary develop inside the body. Unlike the testicle, they stay there because egg production can take place at body temperature. Okay. Each ovary contains around 200,000 potential eggs. Okay. Egg cells are the female gametes, female sex cells. Eggs are released as a part of the menstrual cycle. When the eggs released from the ovary, it passes through the trumpet-shaped opening of the oviduct. The tube connected the uterus or womb, we call it womb. If an egg is fertilized, it develops into the fetus. Okay, so if the egg will become the fetus and then later become the baby. Okay, so this is the whole thing. The egg is filled with the sperm, becoming zygote, so become an embryo. Later become a fetus, and then fully developed baby and become a baby child. Okay, to baby. So the uterus is connected to the vagina by the cervix. The vagina opens to the outside next to the opening of the urethra. So this is not the same as compared to the male. Okay, both openings are protected by the fold of the skin called labia. This fold also protected the region above the size of the small pea called clitoris. This region has a large number of receptors like the tip of the penis. From the beginning of the puberty, the menstrual cycle occurs approximately every month in the female. It does not take place when the female is pregnant. It includes the period of bleeding from the vagina, which may last for about 4 days. During this time, an egg starts to mature, and from one of the ovary, about 10 days after the period of the bleeding, And the egg, which is about the size of the dot in this eye, can you see this so small? Is released from the ovary. Alternate ovary release an egg each one, which means that from the left on the right, left and the right. Okay, so each left or right will be released about 55 days, 56 days. Sorry. The egg is then moved down the fruit field oviduct by the movement of the cilia in the oviduct wall. Okay, so at the same time, the egg is maturing in the ovary uterus. Wall is thickening. You see, this wall is thickening. Thickening. So this is the menstrual start for 4 days. At the same time, the ovary, the egg is developed. Okay, maturing. Okay, so and then this time is thickening. Okay. The egg may be survived up to 2 days in the oviduct, and the fertilizer can take place during this time. If here, okay, if intercourse happen, can you see? If intercourse happen, the words here, so it may result in the fertilization. Then the lady may become pregnant. Okay, so if it does not, it does this to prepare to receive a newly formed embryo. Okay, in the case of fertilization take place, the egg may survive for up to 2 days in the oviduct, and then if the egg is not fertilized, no further leveling of the egg take place after 12 days. After the egg, after 12 days, about 12 days after the egg dies, the uterus wall will break from here. Okay, it will break again. Okay, and the blood pass out the vagina. Another menstrual cycle begin. Can you see? Another one is begin here. If there's no egg, okay, here is ready to receive the embryo. It break down if the no implantation of the embryo happens, take place. So menstrual cycle will happen again. Another cycle. The length of time of the period of bleeding varies from the girl and boys. Okay, so the amount of the blood is released. Some girls and women feel ill a day or two before their period start, or feel pain for the first few days, while others are not affected by it in this way. The menstrual cycle continues until the beginning of the menopause. Which may start around age of 45. During the menopause period, may become irregular and eventually stop. Okay, the menopause may end when a woman is in her early 50s. That means that this one, they will not having a menstrual cycle anymore. Okay, sexual intercourse. Before the sexual intercourse happens, penis must become erect, which is become hard. Okay, this happens by the action of the muscle in the base of the penis. The blood collects in the spongy tissue and make it expand and become hard. Prior to the intercourse, the vagina might also widen and to ease the passage of the penis into it. The lining of the vagina may secrete fluid that acts as a lubricant and further help the penis to enter the vagina. When the penis is inside the vagina, both male and female may make thrusting movement to stimulate the sensitive area of the penis tip and clitoris. This may give them each partner feeling of pressure, called organs. Okay. While the male has the orgasm, it is accompanied by a contraction of the muscle in the epididymis and the sperm ducts, which propel the semen through the penis into the vagina. The action is released semen is called the ejaculation. The volume of semen is usually about 3 to 5 cm cube. Okay, so after that, the journey of the sperm starts. Okay, the semen ejaculated in the top of the vagina contains around 400 million sperms. This is the sperms. The sperm cells do not contain a food store to provide them with energy and movement. They get their nourishment from the seminal fluid, which was secreted by gland as the sperm made this way from the testicles to the urethra. The foot provide each sperm with energy to lash its tail like a whip. Now they just can. The movement drive the sperm forward. The sperm travel through the cervix and up to the mucous lining of the uterus wall into the oviduct. It takes them about 4 to 6 hours to make their journey. Million lies on the way, leaving only a few thousand to enter the oviduct. As this sperm swims along the oviduct, even more die, so that only a few hundred reach to their destination. The sperm may survive for 2 or 3 days here before they died. During this time, if the sperm meet an egg, fertilization may occur. How the egg is removed? The egg is much larger than the sperm cell because it contains its own food store. This is so to provide energy and material for the every early development of the embryo if the egg is fertilized. Unlike the sperm, the egg has no means of propulsion. You cannot move. You cannot move like the sperm. It is moved by the action of the cilia in the wall of the oviduct. They wave to and fro, backward and forward, and push the egg along. Okay, what is the fertilization? Okay, this is the fertilization. Okay, so the egg. Okay, this is the egg and the nucleus. So there are a lot of sperm cells. They are trying to go into the egg. Okay, so there will be one of the sperm. Okay, can successfully go into the egg, and then the nucleus of the sperm will go to fuse F-U-S-E with the egg nucleus in the egg. So after they fuse, the fertilization has happened, and this is to form a new cell. We call it a zygote. And then as the one of the sperm get in, okay, the membrane will change from preventing other sperm head from entering and fusing with the nucleus. So this will have the structure. This has a set of the instruction so that to develop the baby. Okay. So only one can penetrate successfully. Yeah? Okay. The development of the baby. So this is the sperm and the egg cell. They are fusing together to form a zygote. So immediately they will try to divide into two. So two will divide into four, and then following this way, they can develop into a small embryo. So the size for the first 7 days is not increased a lot. And actually they are, you can see this is the same size. Just that each of the division cells it becomes smaller. But after that, they form a hollow ball and have reached to the uterus. This hollow ball sink into the thick lining of the uterus wall, which was a large amount of the blood passed through it. This process sinking into the uterus wall is called implantation. Okay, this they will to the thick wall. Okay, the placenta. Okay, the cell on the surface of the hollow ball or the cell of the zygote will form the placenta. This take in fruits and oxygen from the mother's blood so that the cell can be divided. Waste products such as carbon dioxide from the cell's activity pass across the placenta to the mother's blood so that they can remove it through their own lung and kidney. During the course of the pregnancy, the placenta grow into a disc with the diameter about 20 cm. It's about this big, right? 20 cm. Okay. It's from the microscopic finger-like projection called villi that penetrate into the uterus wall and make the very large surface area for the exchange of the material between the mother and the baby. Okay, so the placenta is attached to the laboring baby of the umbilical cord. The blood runs through the vessel in this cord between the placenta and the baby's tissue. The baby's blood and the mother's blood always remain separate. This is important. Okay, they just exchange. Can you see? The mother's blood is a much more higher pressure than the baby's blood, so it would damage the baby's blood vessel if they are passed through directly through the placenta. So this is placenta. So the mother and the baby, they are so close, but they are not joining. Okay, so they can exchange between these two. So the two kinds of the blood may not be compatible also. Okay, this means that if they mix, clotting would occur, and which will block the blood vessel from leading to the further damage. Okay, so this is the placenta, umbilical cord, and then this is the amniotic fluid, and then this shows the wall of the uterus. The placenta will make the hormone, okay, that stop the ovary from producing any more eggs, and which stop the uterus wall from breaking down, as it would normally do in the menstrual cycle. So because there's a baby inside already, so the hormone will try to tell the uterus wall not to break down, and also try to tell the ovary not to produce any more eggs. Antibody pass from the mother's blood through the placenta to the baby to give protection from the diseases. Okay, so this baby embryo, okay, the zygote will become an embryo first. So although most people prefer to a baby grow in the uterus, the word embryo and fetus are often used in the early stage. While some cell inside the hollow ball join with those in the outside to make the placenta, most of the cell from the embryo. And the end of the first 2 weeks of the development of the embryo is a flat disc of the tissue, but by 4 weeks, it has developed a simple body shape with the stump where the limb will grow. Internally, its heart has started to beat. By 8 weeks, all the organ system has formed, and the embryo, which is now 2.5 cm long, we call it a fetus now. When you have 2.5 cm this length, so it's called a fetus, and no more calling as an embryo. And the first organ, which is the heart, is formed already. The fetus continue to increase in size, and the organ system become more fully developed. By 14 weeks, the sex of the fetus can be reviewed by an ultrasound scan, and at about 16 weeks, the fetus make movement that the mother can feel. I think you have seen this picture, right? The fetus at this time is only about 10 cm long. By 20 weeks, the fetus is about 12.5 cm long, but the legs are growing quickly. 8 weeks later, the fetus turns upside down with its head towards the cervix. The alveoli in its lung begin to grow in this stage and continue to grow after the birth. Okay, before birth, the lung contain the fluid. They do not expand until just after the baby is born. Okay, after the baby is born, okay, suddenly the lung will grow. Okay, grow bigger and bigger. They do not expand until the baby is born. By the 38 weeks after the fertilization of the egg, the fetus is about 50 cm long and has mass of about 3 kg. The baby is now ready to born. Yes. The length of the time between the fertilization birth and birth is called the gestation period. In medicine, it is referred to the 40 weeks rather than 38 weeks. Okay, because the time is calculated from the first day of the last menstrual period. 38 weeks is from the fertilization. Okay. The amnion and its fluid. During the development of the fetus, a bag formed around it called an amnion. This contains a watery fluid. The fluid is a cushion around, just like a cushion, so that to protect them from the pressure and the vibration. Okay, the mother, for example, may be accidentally pushed against a cloud. The fluid also allow the fetus to float freely so that the growing organ have space to level and not to press against the wall. Okay, so tightly. Huh? Birth. There are three stages of the birth process. The first stage is muscle in the uterus begin to contract. The time between each contraction may be up to 30 minutes at first. During the 12 and the 14 hours of this first stage, the time between the contraction shortened to 2 to 3 minutes. Yes. The interval is 30 minutes and then until the 2 to 3 minutes. At some point of the contraction cause the amnion to break and the fluid is passed up down the vagina. This is called the breaking of the waters. Can you see? These waters have the S1. Okay. At the end of the first stage, the cervix has widened so that the head of the fetus can start to pass down it. In the second stage, the mother contracts her abdominal muscle with the contractions of the uterus to push the fetus down the birth channel. This stage may only last a few minutes and is complete when the baby has been born and the umbilical has been cut and clamped so to prevent loss of blood. If there are twins in the contraction, stop about 10 minutes after the first baby has been born and then start again. Only a few contractions may be needed for the second baby to be born. The two stages from the first contraction of the uterus to the birth of the baby are called labor. Okay. The third stage lasts for about 20 minutes after the second. During this time, the placenta is come away from the wall of uterus and passed down the vagina. When it has left the mother, the placenta is called the afterbirth. So the baby out, and then the placenta also out. This is afterbirth. Okay, this is the last page. About 1 of the 100 pregnancy produce twins. The twins may be identical or non-identical. Identical twins form from the same fertilized egg. Okay, this is a very first stage of the early stage of the dividing. So at the first cell division, the zygote of the two cells move apart and form one, and each one form an embryo. Non-identical twins form from two eggs which were released into the oviduct at the same time. Each egg is fertilized by a different sperm. Identical twins share the same genetic material, but non-identical twins have a different genetic material. So after that, you will become a child ready, right? We call it early life or baby, okay? Infant, okay? The baby start as soon as it is born. During the pregnancy, some of the hormone produced by the mother cause the milk secreting and the mammary glands in her breast to develop. The milk that the mother provides for her baby contains all the nutrients the baby needed. It also contains an antibiotic to protect the baby from the disease. The very first milk, we call it colostrum. Some mother cannot provide enough milk for the baby and use a special powder milk made into the liquid instead. This is delivered to in the sterile means hygienic, okay, without germs, bottle with a tip. The end of the umbilical cord attached to the baby wither away and fall off, leaving the navel. The baby continued to grow rapidly and the organ system become more coordinated. At the end of the first month, the baby can hold its head up for a few seconds. In the following months, the baby can lift its head more steadily, kick and push itself up on its hands. It will listen and look for the source of the sound by moving its eye and turning its head and respond to making cooing and gurgling sound on its own. By 6 months, the baby's first set of teeth start to push through its gums. the baby's diet is gradually changed to solid food around 6 months. When this happens, usually before the 12th month, the baby is said to be weaned. All part of the body continue to grow, but about 4 years of age, the head has reached almost the full size. The sex organ do not develop fully until the puberty. Now, from the very first part of this chapter, this is Mr. Henry Clement. Okay, so this is the picture showing that young children need a stimulating environment in which to grow up. Okay, so today we are talking about this reproduction system in human. This is quite bulky. Okay, so I hope that every keywords you can look for your own articles online and then to find out more about this topic, reproduction in human. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for following Mr. Henry Clement. Okay, if you like more notes or some exercise, always look for the different colorful notes. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.